Good evening, everyone. So we are going to take a 12th session on UIUX and Canva. Okay. So since in the last class we have covered how we create a website and how we prototype for a website, the next phase would be testing out how this website is working with our expected users. Okay. So for example, let's say you have cooked some meal for someone. Okay. So what is the first thing you do? You check it. So how do you check it? You check it yourself, or you give a scoop of it to someone else, asking them. You give it to someone else to taste it, and then you ask bunch of questions. How is it? Is salt required, or is it spicy enough, or too much spicy? So what you will do basically is you will give what you have done to a different person and ask for their reviews and what they are feeling about it, right? So that is kind of a basic level of a user testing. So uh, in the product scope, how this user testing works is what we are going to learn today. Okay. So let me start share my screen. Is my screen visible to you? Is my screen visible to you? Okay. Okay. So what is a usability testing? Usability testing is kind of a research method again, where we give our product, which can be an app or a website, to real-time users or the users that we prominently target, and we ask them bunch of questions regarding uh, the visuals, the navigation, or the look and feel, or it can be about how easily they can add information or retrieve information from the existing visuals. So we ask them bunch of questions so that we get a deeper understanding of how the existing product is working for the user's mentality. Okay. So that is a usability testing. We do this usability testing in multiple ways, multiple methods, and with it can be done with a large amount of people. It can be done with a very few amount of people. There are different methods and use cases, I would say, to do a usability testing. Okay. So why a usability testing is important for product? So first thing, by giving a prototype or a website to a user, we can validate our design decisions. Let's say we have taken 5 menu items. Okay, so we will show it to a user asking, do these menu items make sense for you, or do you need some more, additional menu items? Okay, or else do you need lesser menu items, or else uh, are the menu items visible for you, or is it creating difficulty to for you to access the information? Okay. So we will validate all the design decisions that we have previously taken while creating the design. Okay. Now the second thing would be identifying users pain points. So whenever, let's say, a user gets stuck while using the application, we will understand why he is getting stuck at that specific point, because we would have designed it thinking that user would make move from point A to point B and then point B to point C by clicking specific items or buttons. Okay. But when you give it to user might not follow that same flow. He might click on directly C, or he might directly click on a different link. So that lands him into a different interface and creates difficulty or issues while navigation. Okay. So to understand such pain points, we give it to users and understand where the users are making mistakes, or where we have done some mistakes while understanding users. Okay. So that is how we understand users' pain point. And then about enhanced accessibility. So let's say I have given a very small text at some point, okay, which is not readable for the user. Some of the users might have a good vision and read it, but some of the people might struggle reading a specific line or specific statement when it is given in a lighter shade or a thinner text. Okay. So we will understand each and every what you have designed, is catering each and every type of user. Okay, so that's how we understand about how well the information is accessible to your users. Okay, then reduce launch risks. So whenever you do a user testing upfront before you start working on the development and you put some more time and effort on the application, we directly give a prototype which is not hard coded, which is the prototype one that we have previously did for our website, and understand what are the issues, or what are the flows that we might have missed while creating our user flows. What is the navigation pattern that we have foreseen, or what sometimes what happens is we overcomplicate things. Okay, we overcomplicate things, and users might get users might find it hard to move from one point to another point in the flow. So instead of developing all these things, we can find all these things before launch while we testing using our design prototype. Okay, so these are the some of important aspects where qt helps to you know first to validate our design decisions that we have taken, identify users pain points, enhance accessibility, understanding if the information provided is accessible to the to all I would say target audience, and reduce launch risks. Okay, are we clear so far? Do we have any doubts still here? One moment. Okay, so this is the importance of user testing. There are mainly two types of user testing that we usually do. One comes under qualitative usability testing. Okay, so what is a qualitative usability testing? So let's say you have a website. Okay, where okay, let's take up this for an example. Okay, so we want to understand if user creates a playlist. Okay, we have provided a option called play create a playlist, and we want to understand if the user really wants to create a playlist. Okay, so what do we do? How do we approach a user and ask what uh, what they want as a playlist? How do they want to create a playlist? What they expect when they click on a playlist? So to understand these things, we start asking a single question, and then what we do, we probe deeper into that specific question. Okay, let's say we will show this to a user and ask, do you often create playlists? So if they say yes, so then we start asking them what are your playlists, or what is the specific genre that you would like to add. You would like to mix up genre, or you would like to have a specific language wise playlist, or would you create a playlist that is specific to a theme, like devotional songs can be a specific theme, language specific. So these are some of the specifications that user can add into playlist, and this can help while creating a playlist for while designing create playlist flow. Okay, we can ask these kind of questions. So on the playlist, what we are doing here is we are probing deeper into what user wants, or what user is expecting. Okay, so that is a qualitative study. We take up a question and probe deeper into it, asking more of whys and hows about that specific question, and we take a qualitative feedback. Let's say what a qualitative feedback would be like. Uh, let's say if I uh, ask them, "Do you create a playlist?" They can say either yes or no, or sometimes what they would say is like, I would create a playlist, but I wouldn't often visit the playlist. I would create it for a specific time, like while he's traveling, or while he's working on a specific research. So these kind of things are like task specific. So these playlists will remain until that task completes, and after a specific times, these playlists will get invalidated. So we can, at that point of time, we can develop a feature where you can ask user for a feedback on the playlist, and after a period of time, let's say 2 weeks, and ask them if they want to delete it or if they want to edit it. So we can do such things by collecting such feedbacks from users. So these can be elaborated way of answers for different questions on a specific topic, I would say. Okay. So what we are measuring here is the quality of answers, or the quality of explanations that we are getting from our users while users are going through what we are showing them as a UI. Okay. So these can be majorly used when you are exploring ideas. So for the example for playlist, create a playlist was an idea. So while exploring that specific idea, you can ask multiple questions asking why they would create it, what are their preferences, what are their usual method of creating a playlist if they are using a playlisting on a different application. So these are kind of exploratory questions that we can ask on a single idea. Okay. And we can also target on a specific usability problem, and we can also have a feedback on new designs. Let's say we have updated design of a home screen. Okay. So we want our users to view it. We will show what we will do is we will ask user to view the home screen and ask them, what do you like about it, what difference do you feel from the previous one. You can ask questions like, we have provided this specific feature on the home screen as a new update, so what do you think about it? Do you think it is fine to be there on the home screen? So ask these kind of questions and collect a feedback that is in a statement. Okay. This is a qualitative user testing. On the contrast, on a quantitative user testing, what we do is we will do a quantitative user testing where we would ask a specific question and we will give them multiple options. Okay. Say we gave a user a navigation flow where user comes to home screen. From there, uh, let's say on an Instagram, let's talk about an Instagram. Let's say a user want to add a picture on the Instagram. So what usual user would open a Instagram. So the flow would be like, user would open an Instagram, add an image, select the image, make some changes, and then post. So we will show our flow, what we designed and prototyped for them. Then we will ask them saying, rate on how much you are satisfied with what you have seen. We can give them 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. Okay. So depending on this, we will gather information on a bulk saying how much satisfied the user is. What we will do is we will send this across multiple people and get answers regarding if they would like to how much they have liked the design. Okay. And these things would be shown something like this. Let's say 1 star was given by 25%, and 2 stars were given like by 50%, and 3 stars were like 75%. So these are different kinds of inputs that we get when we create a question, give bunch of options, and give it to multiple people. Okay. So in this quantitative analysis, what we are going to measure is not like what user is exactly saying, but what user is expecting on a specific question, or what user is uh, what is the majority of the users are okay with, or what is the majority of users opinion on a specific UI screen. So such quantitative, or else what I would call is we talk quantitative data in, like, out of 100 people, 70 people wants this, 30 people, 25 people want this. So we always talk in amount of people that want a specific option. Okay. For example, if you take these two sign-in forms, some of the people, let's say, uh, we have given this as a question and sent it to a bunch of people, like, let's say 100 people on a survey form. We mention it as option A, we mention it as option B, and then we asked users which option would you like. Okay. Option A or option B. So, or none of them. Okay. So we will circulate this questions, and by the end of the survey, you would get bunch of replies saying selecting option A or option B or none of the above. Considering which option has highest votes, we will consider that to be your final deciding point or pivot point. Okay, so this is majorly dependent on the amount of people that are in favor of a specific option. So that is why we call it quantitative, which is the amount, which refers to amount, and here we qualitative, which refers to the replies that enhance the quality of the output. Okay, are we clear so far, people? Any doubt still here? Okay, so let's move to types of conducting user testing. Okay, so user testing can be conducted either remote or in person. So let's say you have created a prototype. Okay, you have it in your mobile, and you're giving it to one of your friend and asking, uh, can you check this flow, or what do you think about this interface on the mobile? So what you're doing here is you are in person asking your friend to give their opinion on the UI. So that can be considered as in-person usability testing. Okay, so in the in-person usability testing, what researchers would do is like they'll have their participant in front of them, and they'll start giving some tasks for them to work on their prototype, and they visually understand what user is doing, what where user is making a mistake, or where user is getting into a different flow than what we expect them to do. Okay, so that is something what in-person usability testing is. And if same thing is done online, like we are right now having an online class, so let's say what I'll do, I'll ask you, tell me how do you feel about this slide. If I ask you, you will give some input saying this is quite visible, then this might not be visible for me, or these two, or this slide can be textually heavy. So these kind of inputs I would get asking a specific question about this slide. Okay, so this is a remote usability testing where a user or participant and a researcher would be connecting on an online call and testing out the existing application or a website. Okay, so that is the difference between remote testing and in-person testing. Now, the second thing would be moderated versus unmoderated usability testing. Okay, so for moderated usability testing, let's understand what is unmoderated usability testing. So what I'll do, we have understood how we can send these two forms in a survey format, right? What there we would do, we'll send these two images with an option A, option B to a different person, and we will ask them to basically give what we say, uh, we in text tell them that please select one of the options, and they'll once they have selected and we have that answers, we will get our needed answers. So here there is no person in between, right? So I have created a survey form, I have sent it to a different person, and they have selected an option that we want to understand about. So in this process, there is no mediator required, so that uh, to understand what user is doing, or to understand or to explain what these screens are, or to explain why we are doing the exact testing. So we don't need a specific mediator. So by mediator in user testing language, we call them as a moderator. Okay, so moderated and unmoderated usability testing is whenever you ask user to do it online without uh, interruption, without a researcher or moderator being there in the middle as a middleman, is an unmoderated usability testing. It's kind of a survey. Okay, and moderated user testing can be where you will have a researcher or a moderator where he will guide you through what is happening, and he will also guide you what the app is. He will also guide you they are expecting from this specific user testing, and stand and this moderator also understands what user is doing or participant is doing the prototype. So in a moderated research, there is a middleman, and in unmoderated research, there isn't any middleman. Okay, so these can also be clubbed. Okay, let's like remote usability testing, which can be an unmoderated one. Okay, so remote usability testing in an unmoderated way. What does that mean? Let's say I have shared a survey, which you will be sharing your feedback remotely from your home, right? And it won't be moderate, right? So there won't be any middle for that survey. You will have a form and you will fill it and give it to me. So that can be a remote, no, unmoderated usability testing. And if it is done in person, if in person I would give you, if I give you a form and explain you each and every question, where this question comes from, green it is related to. Okay, and then if you give back on that question while I'm explaining you, or after I explain you, then that would in person moderated usability testing. You can also do a remote moderated usability testing, where I would give same information on a video call or audio call. Okay, so these can be switchable. It can be remote moderated usability testing, remote unmoderated, in-person moderated, or in-person moderated. Okay. Or do you want me to repeat? Because this can be a little confusing one. If you want me to repeat, I'll repeat it again. Guys, did you understand? Hello. I don't see any replies. By yes, sir, you meant to say you're asking me to repeat, or do you want to continue? So since we have understood how what are the different types of usability testing, now let us know how to conduct a usability testing. Okay, so to conduct a usability testing, what we usually do as a step by step is, first of all, we define our goals and target audience. Then we will create a user testing script. We'll conduct a dry run. We'll conduct the user interviews, and we will have insight and reports. So let's understand how do we do these things with a by taking an example. Okay. So let's say I have a Spotify application. I have made this like I have got this from a community where we have bunch of screens that are already prototyped. Okay, so that we can understand how user testing is made, and how we lay out the process of user testing using with the help of this prototype. Okay, so what I'll do is, let's understand first, why do we want to do a user? Okay, so by defining why, we want to understand what are the goals of this user testing. Let's say, for example, okay, we want to understand if user is understanding the navigation. Here we have a non-usual vertical navigation. Instead of our usual websites will have a horizontal navigation, we have a vertical navigation right here. So want to understand if user is able to understand this navigation, or user is able to get in line with the what navigation, or what or validate what we designed is correct. Okay, apart from that, we also want to understand if user is able to find their playlists and start playing the music they want. Okay, so these two are the things that we would go. And also, let's say, player controls, if user is okay with the player controls. Okay, these are the three things. So what we will do is, we will list them as goals. Okay, first goal would be identify if navigation is working for the user. Okay, so this is our first goal. The second goal is to understand So these are our, let's say, our three primary goals. Okay. Now what we will do here is we will understand who our target audience are, and then we start creating a list of the requirements that we need to understand for a target user. Okay. It can be something like this, where you will have a card in which you will have, since we are working with real-time user, what we will do is we will have their profile picture, a visual cue. Okay. Then we can have their name. Okay. We can have their name, their occupation, name of the participant, occupation. Now we have personal details. There are some details that are specific to this user, which can be, some of them can be like, uh, let's say, their age, demography, which can be location, then platforms. So by platforms, what we mean is like, uh, from which platforms user is majorly consuming their songs. Okay. And other applications that are similar to our application, where user usually streams music. Okay. It can be something like 31. Application can be hardware, platforms can be desktop, app can be something like 7. It can also be YouTube music. So these are some of the things that we want to highlight, and these are some of the details that needs to be changed with respect to each and every user, so that we can target different age groups, different locations, different platform users, and different app users. So these should be varied while finding your target audience. Okay. And similarly, what we also need is, let's say, we want to understand how his interest in music. Okay. We can give a kind of a rating here, in a rating, and give it in rating format. Yellow. Okay. Similarly, we can have tech savviness. So tech savviness is like how easily he can understand new features or enhancements in the existing applications. Okay. So we also want users on a varied music interest and varied savviness. For example, what do I mean by varied? Let's say if we take a user, oh sorry, we also need gender. Okay. So why do we need all these details? Because let's say, to understand or to understand or achieve these goals, we are creating a usability test with 5 people. Okay. We are creating a usability testing with 5 people. So we want all these 5 people to have different traits. So let's say we need a male, 32 male from Hyderabad, right? We need a female then. We also need to test with a female who can be like a little lower in age. Okay. She might be from Mumbai. Okay. So in the same way, we might need a male, since we have a recently younger male. We want to understand how older male who is like in his 40s and 50s from, let's say, Gujarat, and who uses a mobile. Okay. So what we are trying to do here is we are taking different age groups, gender groups, and location based users, so that the outcome of our answers would be as specified, as varied as possible. Okay. So let's say she's a little more tech savvy. Okay. A little less interested in music. Okay. He's a little less tech savvy because he's a little bit more aged. Okay. He's very much interested in music. Okay. So these are the defining elements. So we will define such kind of a target audience. And what we will do next is we will try to find specific audience that cater into these groups. Okay. And then we start asking them multiple questions. So how do we start asking these questions? So before we start understanding creation of questions, we have to understand exactly what we want to achieve from usability testing. Okay. So the process of writing all these things or questions is called usability testing scripting. Okay, so it has bunch of elements, I would say. Okay, it starts with three phases. Okay, let's call it. Let's call one would be introduction phase, and then comes tasks, and then comes conclusion. Okay, so these are some of the things that form a usability testing script, and each element. So let's understand what these things are. Introduction. So in the introduction, what we will do is we will introduce ourselves to user. We will ask their introduction as well, to who they are, where they are working from, and understand how they usually interact with the application. And we will also, so we have done our introduction, we have taken their introduction, and then we are going to introduce the application that we are going to test. Okay, and we will also tell them that this is a specific app. For example, we are right now creating a usability testing for Spotify application, right? So we will tell them Spotify. This is a Spotify application where you can add music, you can browse through different musics, different playlists. You can create your own playlist, or you can share your playlist with your friends and family. So we will give them a basic introduction of what your application or your product is. So in the introduction section, you are going to tell about yourself, know about your user, give them information about your product. And also these usability testings are usually conducted while in a recording session. Okay, so these usability testings are majorly recorded, so that uh, once the usability testing is completed, a researcher usually goes into the video, checks out what are all the insights, and starts listing down those insights, and further understand what their pain points and issues were. So for that reason, these usability testing sessions are recorded. So before you start recording these things, you will take their consent, saying this session is going to be recorded. Is it okay for you? Okay, so that is consent. So this is about introduction. Then tasks. So understand, let's say identify. To identify the first goal would be to identify navigation is if navigation is working for the user or not. So what we will ask that what is the task we are going to give them. So let's say user is here. We will ask them to can you search something on a website? Okay, or can you go to your library and check what is there in it? So we will see how user is navigating through it, or user finding it difficulty because it's not there on the right side, the top bar. Okay, so we will understand these things if user is able to navigate clearly and freely by asking bunch of questions related to navigation. So by giving specific tasks related to navigation. Okay, so these are like defining tasks that user would do, so that we can understand if the goals that we defined previously are met or not. Okay, so for each goal we will have a bunch of questions, two or three questions, and then we will understand if user is following what we are asking them to do, or if user is getting stuck somewhere, or any issues that we are facing. Okay, and then comes conclusion. So in the conclusion, what we will do is we will ask user to understand, give information how the navigation was for them. Was it easy, very easy, or is it neutral, or it was difficult or very difficult to find it or understand it? Okay, so such questions we will ask, and we will have a overall conclusion for specific goal. Okay, these are some conclusion questions. Okay. Okay. So, do you understand or how UT scripting is done? Shall I move to the next thing? Okay. Shall I move to the next screen, or you want me to explain it again? Anyone? Okay. I'll consider it as no, and I'll be moving to the next screen. So the next thing would be like we will understand, since we have goals in place, target audience, and UT scripting. What I'll do for now is I'll put some of the pre-made templates here. Okay. Freeze of use. What I'm doing right now is like I've already prepared some of the goals, target audience, and UT script, so that we can follow up and conduct a simple usability testing formulation. Okay, so that it can be easily understood how these things are done. Okay, so these are some of the goals. So once we created our script, so if you can see here, these are the goals listed. This is how we show a list of target audience. Okay, and this is how UT scripting would look like, where we will have in the introduction we will have a warm welcome, where we will tell user what we are going to do, and we'll also clearly mention that if something goes wrong, it's not because they are wrong. We are only testing the application, so there's nothing they can do wrong about. So we will then go and ask further initial interactions, like what is their name, from which city they have come from, what is their habits of browsing music, which music they would usually like, okay, which mobile they are using. Okay, then we will give them information about product, and then we will take their consent. Okay, and then we will ask them to perform some of the tasks. Okay, and understand if they are making any mistake, or if they are losing the track of navigation. Okay, and then we will conclude this. Okay, this is a UT script. Now, if you see here, we have defined goals, created a UT script, and then we have to conduct a dry run. So, what is a dry run? Dry run is like a rough kind of a interview that is taken before your interviews with real participants. So, for a dry run, what you would do is you would ask a person from your friends group or your colleague to to be as a participant, and you will start performing your regular interview with your friend, so that you will understand if there are any issues in the prototype, or if there are any questions that we might have missed, or if there are any issues that we can fix before you move to your real time interviews. Okay, so that is a dry run. Dry run is like an example interview that is conducted with a non-participant before starting your your regular user interviews with the participant, so that we can uh, minimize on the issues, and we can tackle different problems that might arise during prototyping phase. Okay, so that is a dry run. So once dry run is corrected and everything is finally put into place, then we start a user interview. Okay. So how a user interview would start like is like you will create a setup. The setup usually can, let's for an example, let's take an example of qualitative testing. Okay, where you will ask qualitative questions, which would be a moderated interview and in-person interview. So what you're doing here, by in-person interview, you will be in front of users explaining about the things, and then it will be moderated by you as a researcher. Okay, and then it is a qualitative research, so we are going to ask the users uh, deeper questions in whatever they are doing. Okay, so let's take that as an example of qualitative in-person testing. Okay, what we will do is we will open it in a prototype. Okay, so we will ask user. First question would be like, what do you feel about look and feel? Let's say. Okay, user would initially interact with the application, and then he would say like, I can clearly see different playlists. I can see these things are categorized into different sections. Okay, might say they can easily find what playlists they have. They are easy to read, so they'll come up with this kind of width. Okay, so they will come up with such kind of replies. So let's say if they say that uh, the user interface looks good. Okay, this is what their reply was. Then we start probing deeper into their answer. Okay, so you said the user interface looks good, right? So what do you really like about user interface? Let's say, do you like it? Do you like the greeting to be shown up front, or did you like how the interactions are working whenever you hover on the pages? Okay, or else did you like different types of categories that are made here. Okay, so with each and every answer we try to dig deep into what user is feeling about it, and then we start noting all these details as a interview notes, so that we can review these things once we start creating our usability insights and reports. Okay, so this is like the first question we asked about how they would feel about or how the look and feel for the UI is. Okay, then since the goal was to, let's take a singular goal for now. Okay, we want to understand if the navigation was easy for them or not. So what we will do is we'll ask them, can you try accessing your library? So then once we ask this question, we will understand what user is doing. Is user scrolling so that he might find your library within this playlist, or user trying to check on the top bar, or user directly clicking on the sidebar and going to your library. So what user is doing to understand what user is doing to navigate to your library, and we also want user to navigate back also. Okay, so now once he's into users your library, what we would ask them is, the navigation is not only moves front, right, it also moves back. So what we would ask something like, can you go back to previous screen? So then we will understand if user is going from home screen, clicking on the home screen directly, or if user is clicking on the back button here to go to home screen. So by this, what we will understand is if these back buttons, let's say if I have asked users to, let's say 5 users, to go back from library to home screen, and all the 5 users, or let's say 4 of them, directly clicked on home screen and did not click on back button here, then we might have to conduct a different research, understanding if these back options are visible or okay. So this is how we define one more problem, if these action buttons are accessible or not, or visible or not. Okay, so that's how we define question, a task. A question would be like, is navigation clear for you? The task would be like, can you go to your library? And the second task would be like, uh, can you go back to home? And while these things are happening, what we are observing is like, from where user is clicking on to go back. From this, what our insight was to like, majority of people are clicking on home screen instead of clicking on the back button when I ask them to go back. Uh, so the insight would be like, is it visible or not? Okay, so these kind of asking bunch of questions and seeing what user is doing and creating a insight out of it is what we usually do by a user testing. Okay, so that was one of the questions, right? So let's say the second goal was to understand if user was easily accessing the playlist, right? So let's say I have asked user to open a playlist and play a music. Okay, that is the next task. Let's say this is a two layered question. Let's make it simple. What I would ask is, can you open a playlist? So some of the users might click on go to search and add a play, create a search for a playlist. Some of the users might uh, come to home and check on scrolling if there are any playlists. Okay, some might not find these styles to be playlist at all. No, they might find these things would be like specific song, independent song. Okay, if I click on it, it would play a song, right? So we'll understand what use first. We will see what user is doing. Let's say user is clearly scrolling up and down, right and left, trying to find out where a playlist is. Then we will understand. Then we will probe deeper into that question, asking user, what are you trying to find? Okay, what are you expecting to see? What words are you trying to find out? Because if you see in this interface, there is nothing mentioned as playlist visually. Okay, but if you can see, all these are playlists. Okay, so user might be searching for the specific keyword called playlist by scrolling the application or by scrolling the web. So that can be an insight we can get, and we can use it in our next iteration, saying, okay, we might want to say your top playlist instead of your top mixes, or playlist made for you. So we try to include the word playlist in the, you know, visual communication or text, so that it can be easily understood by users. So this is one category of users. Some other category of users might find these things to be as independent songs instead of playlists, right? So if, let's say, they say these look like songs, we would then ask them a follow-up question saying, why do you find this song as a song? Let's say he says, you have a direct play button here. Okay, while hovering, you are showing direct play button. So it feels like this song is going to play instead of it to be opening a list of application. Okay, so to tackle that, what we can do, so this is an insight where providing a play icon over a playlist card would hamper the experience of user, or would mislead them to consider it to be a playable song instead of a clickable playlist. So what we can do is, like, for any direct song we can give this option, and for any playlist, instead of this play button, we can give a three dot menu, or we have a specific icon for playlists. So we can give that kind of a visual cue whenever user hovers on a screen. Okay, so that can be considered as insights where we can represent each section. Either it might be a playable song, either it might be a playlist with a different visual cue. Okay, this is how we find out different problems that are there within the application, or so that these can be, uh, sorted out in your next iteration. Okay, so let's say the task was to open a playlist. So let's say one of the user clearly understands everything and opens a playlist. Okay, say he opens a playlist. Okay, then we will have a bunch of things on the playlist where user can do uh, too many things. Let's say, for example, we will ask user. Let's say we will ask user to, save it. Okay, so user can either click on this or click a specific song, depending on what we communicate. If we want user to, select, or, let's say we have asked them to favorite oceanfront song. Okay, so let's say what user might do is, user might click on the play and then they click on the save, making it, with a feeling that whenever you're playing a song and clicking on a save, it will get saved to your liked songs. Okay, so that can be a possibility, which usually doesn't happen. So whenever user clicks on the like over the playlist, it directly likes the entire playlist instead of a specific song. So that's a issue with navigation. Okay, so what we might want to move this hard to here, where it clearly specifies, if you see this entire section is majorly, depicts about playlist. So if I move this section or this heart to here, then there is a possibility, not every user might do it, but there is a high possibility that whenever user sees a heart along with the section where you are giving details about playlist, then if he clicks on like it, he thinks it automatically saves the playlist instead of providing it on the, song over the list of songs. Okay, so that's how you understand better position of a specific element, and how, users mistakes would give you some of the insights to create experience more better. Okay, say this was one of the thing, right? If user, opens a playlist or not, that is one of them. The third goal was to understand if user is, understanding these navigation items. Okay, say we'll ask user to play the first song. Say he clicks on it, it starts playing. Okay, what we will ask user to do is, can you go to next song? Okay, let's say user clicks on this one. This also, takes you to the next song, right? And there is also a functionality where user can click here. to go to the next song. Okay, so we will understand how many of the users are clicking on a list item, or how many of the users are clicking on control bar. Okay, say if I go back to home screen, this will remain the same. And if I ask them to change the song, what are they doing? They are again going back to that specific library or selecting the song. Or if this visual cue of player controls are easily findable on the home screen, and users are clicking on the next to play the next song. So these are the kind of things that we want to understand uh, regarding the findability, by asking questions or giving them tasks that so that user can work on it and understand where user is going or where user is clicking, so that to get a bunch of information or bunch of insights regarding that specific interaction. Okay, this is how we break down all our goals into specific tasks, and view how user is interacting with the application when we ask questions, and then we define some of the insights based upon what users are doing on the application. Okay, this is how the task section is done. So if we go back here, so this task section, we will do it in that way. Then on the conclusion, what we will do is we will show them this application and ask them, let's say, for example, was finding a playlist, was it easy for you or was it hard for you? How did you feel about giving an options from very easy to very difficult? Okay. The second one would be, did you easily find navigation controls for player? Okay, we will understand, or we will note down their response. Let's say a user says, yeah, I did easily found that navigation controls, it is very much similar to what the other apps I have used to have, which is in the bottom. So these kind of replies, will note them down, and so that we can have them as insights, or we can put them into our final reports. Okay, give me a moment. So these are the concluding, questions about overall experience or overall look and feel of a specific feature or a specific website or a specific web page or specific, individual card or items. Okay, that's how we conclude our interview session. Okay. So what we did here is we have defined bunch of goals. We have listed different target audience. We have created our questions, tasks, and conclusive questions. And then by doing these all things and regarding the call, what we finally get are insights, like where user is going to, for example, the example of an insight would be, if user feels this to be a playable song, or user, what majority of users would feel this to be, what a specific user feels this to be, that would be an insight. So these insights are listed first in a way. Let's say we have, conducted interviews with three peoples. We have conducted interview with three people. Participant one, two, three. Okay. Say these three are the participants. So each participant will have their own opinion, their own behavior, their own, approach for each and every question or task. Right. So we will list down all those things. Say, let's consider for now these are to be their replies. So participant will one will have three replies. He might have two replies when a question is asked. Okay. Participant three might have more replies. Okay. So what we are doing is we are listing down what each participant is saying, and we are also listing down the insights what each and every participant is providing while they are interacting with the application, or while we expect them to answer a question, specific question. Okay. So we list down these insights. So it would look something like this. Let's say we have a user, Srivatsa, who says that uh, he easily recognized home and search icons, and he feels that visual cues are very familiar with what other apps he has used. So that is one of the reply from Srivatsa while testing our application. He says library icon can be easily identified, expressing that it was intuitive due to traditional book collection representation. Okay, so similar you know insights would be given by different participants. So what we do is we collect all the insights from the participants and list down them as interview insights. Then what we will do is we will create a report out. Okay, so a report contains we had three for right that we have tested. Okay, say for first one is okay for navigation. What was the user insights on an overall base? Let's say we have done with five participants, and say four of five participants were easily navigating. What do we have here? Search. Let's say when we ask the same question to let's say we have asked a question to navigate to uh, uh, your library. All the five participants have were able to achieve it. Okay, so this way what we are doing is we are defining for each task or for each question how many participants were able to give a positive or a negative output. So let's say if it is a positive output, then what we will do is we will keep the things same, and then what we will do is uh, we'll keep the things same and we'll move on with the same flows and the same visuals. If there is, let's say, one out of five, uh, what we had here, one out of five participants click on the back arrow to go back, while other click on home. This is a scenario where an user was in your library and I asked the user to go to home screen. Let's say four out of five users clicked on the home screen instead of clicking on the back icon. At this point, we want to understand our expectation was to go back from using back icon, but explain what majority of the participants it is like they went to navigation and moved to home. Then what we this is a kind of a negative feedback and we want to probe deep into this. So to probe deep into this, what we can do is we can understand or give out a survey saying would you click on home screen or would you go to navigation, or what kind of a navigation would you want to prefer, is back button visible to you in this specific screen or not. Kind of a deeper probing is needed whenever such kind of negative feedbacks come up. Or else what we can also do is we can visually create a solution by making it a little more prominent or giving a text beside back button so that it is also verbally communicated instead of giving an icon and give a visual output. Okay, so these can be done either by enhancing visual or by conducting a deeper more survey to find the problem and its solution. Okay, this is how we collect all the participants insights and make it into a single item. Okay, so in this, by making this single item, we can create multiple not I would say multiple sections where we talk about navigation, which is a goal, first goal. The second goal was about playlist. The third item was about play controls, right? Okay, so in this way we collate all the navigation answers that are given by all our three participants or five participants into a single statement, and we will put that into a report. So a report would look something like this. Show you a report would look something like this. Okay, where we will have overall insights about each and every flow or each and every goal. Okay, overall insights. We will have some suggestions. Let's say, for example, regarding the back button, we might have to enhance visual, right? So that can be a suggestion. So we'll have a list of suggestions, and we will also have video links that we have recorded while we conducted interviews, right? So those video links also we will provide in the. We will also provide a screenshot of where this user, that whenever user reads a report, they'll also have a visual cue of what it looks like. Okay, so this is the end of usability testing process. Okay, do we have any questions here till here? People, do we have any questions till here? Okay, I'll move to the next topic. So the next topic would be methods of user interviews, methods of usability testing. Okay. So the one we have seen right now is a usability testing where we have conducted an interview with the user, which is like a one-to-one moderated session, right? So that is a user interview method. Let's say the second one would be survey. So what is a survey? Is like, let's say, uh, for an example, let's take this as an example. Like, okay, let's provide it. If I provide this one in a form, and let's say select best sign in form, I'll ask this as a question. I'll give them uh, three options to select from. Okay, let's say option A, option or option one, option two. Say I have given them as options to select from. Okay, 16. Or I'll also give an option saying none. Okay, so user can select one of the options. So this entire thing is a question here. Okay, this entire thing is a question. If I collate similar questions where we will give multiple options for the user and put it into a form and share it with large group of people, it will be called as survey. So in the survey, what we are doing is we are asking a specific question for the user and getting a specific feedback for that question, and we are measuring it in a number of people that are choosing or opting for option A, option B, or options, whichever the option might be. Okay, so this survey method is majorly a quantitative based method, okay, where we will ask user to select an option. Okay, now, after surveys, what we have is card sorting. So for an example, let's take this one. Let's go back to this. Okay, see, okay, we have of playlists here, right? Which is like one is top mixes, one is like made for you, your recently played, unique to your. So we have a bunch of playlists. What we will do is we will make these playlists as a different cards. I'll highlight them. So let's say these are different cards. So in the card sorting, what we will do is we'll give these cards to users in random way and ask them to put it in your favorite order. So what they will do, we'll also give them context. So the process is usually like this only. We'll define a goal for this card sorting. What we are trying to define is the goal would be the preferred order for the layout, which section should come first. We want to know which section should come first, which section people would like in the last, or uh, give less priority or more priority. We will define target audience. We will have user testing scripting where we will have introduction and conclusion. But the task would be like a simple task where you will ask user to rearrange the cards according to their preferences. Okay. Then once they start uh, once we ask that question, user starts to let's say user continuously listens to specific set of songs. So what he will do, such user puts recently played as the top ones, then his top mixes in the next one, just hits is like a random trending ones, or something that is personalized to his previous playlists made for you. He will put it in the third option. So this is a group of people where who frequently listens to specific songs. Okay, this is one category. Okay, there can be a different category where a user want to be a explorer. So what a explorer mindset user would do, they would made for you as a first thing, so that whenever they come to their home screen, they would directly check made for you, which includes new songs that are similar to what he previously listened to. And he can also put just hits, which can be like trending options. Then he would prefer your top mixes, and lastly he would prefer recently played, because his personality is an explorer personality. So we will understand, in the similar way, we will have multiple personalities, and each personality will have their different orders of the cards. So depending on how many users you are doing, how many participants you have gathered and done this activity with, you will finally get to understand. Let's say there are out of 100 people, there are 70 people who would come under this category, 25% people who would come under this category, and 5% of people who would come under this category. Okay, so by this we can clearly define this is the best possible outcome because majority of the participants are aligned with this. So we can order your home page in this way, where you will first have your recently played playlist, then your top mixes, then made for you, and then just that hits. Okay, so this is the way where we sort these four cards in the order that user wants, and finally we will conclude on what is a majority of the users are expecting, which cards, sorted cards that user is expecting to view. In this way, we'll conclude the insight saying majority of the users. So it will be again the same thing. Once this tasks and conclusions are done, the insights would be person A was sorry. There won't be any interview insight specific to participant here. It will be directly a report where we would say 70% of users preferred A, B, C, D options. So it is better to go with this kind of flow in the home screen. Okay. So this is how card sorting usability testing is done in the method of card sorting. Arrange or rearrange this playlist in the order of what user needs. Okay, that is card sort. A/B testing is similar to it's kind of a again quantitative survey where you will show two screens and ask them to select one out of that. So either A or B. So you will show user two screens. You will ask to select either one of them. That is A/B testing. Okay, and then focus groups. So focus groups are conducted when user wants to understand specific opinion or want elaborated insights on a specific feature. Okay, let's again take the example of this one. Okay, use in the focus groups, what a researcher would do is researcher gathers a bunch of users and creates them into focus groups, where one of the focus group is, let's say, is very much aligned towards finding if this or if these controls applied here is better. Okay, so to understand this, what they will do is they'll show users these group of users what we have as two options. One is here and one is here, and ask them to discuss in between themselves and in between moderator and focus groups, saying how do they feel about it, what do they feel, is it good in the bottom or is it good in the top. If someone says if it is good in the top, the other people in the focus group can challenge their opinion, saying I feel this is better in the bottom, giving bunch of reasons because it is closer to the playlist and easily accessible. Some people might say putting it on the colored playlist would increase its visibility. If you can see heart icon here is very much less visible. So they can come up with different questions, different uh, reasonings for their choices and different opinions for their implications, right? So by noting all those insights, what users are expecting and what users are saying about the specific positioning, we can draw out insights and then we can create a report out. Drawing out insight will be like in the same way, say, where we have participant three, we will have focus group one, focus group three, and we have a single task where we want to understand position of controls, right? And out of this position of controls, we will put a position of controls here, and we will finally report saying produce a report saying these many people wanted it on the top, saying reasons A, B, C. These many people have wanted it on the bottom, providing reasons C, D, E. This kind of reports we would make, and we would, uh, you know, based on these reports, we will create suggestions or take actions based on insights. Okay. that is about focus groups. So what we have, okay, what is the importance of usability testing? Usability testing is majorly your uh, enhance accessibility, launch this by asking by visual screens and asking them bunch of questions and finding their pain points and problems. There are two major types of conducted as a qualitative test, where you will ask a specific question and then probe deeper into it, asking about why they chose a specific option or why they are doing a specific interaction. So where this is useful while exploring ideas, and this we will ask users about a specific question to note down the number of or the count of or the majority of options that users are picking. Okay, then types of usability testings. So usability testing can be a remote usability testing or an in-person usability testing. It can be a moderated usability testing or unmoderated usability testing. Okay, then how do we conduct a UT, which has first what we do is we define goals, then we define our target audience, then we list down the script, tasks, and concluding questions. Then we'll have interview insights. And then we will finally create a report where we will collate all the insights and then provide suggestions for the optimally understood what are the methods that we can follow for user testing. These are some of the methods. One is user interviews that we have, where you would sit in front of a user and ask a bunch of questions, show multiple screens, and probe deeper into each and every question to understand their interaction with the application or their pain points or what they are doing actually when a specific task is given to them. Okay, that is one-to-one interview. This the second thing would be service. In the service, what we would do is we would in the service what we would do is we will circulate each question providing multiple options, and we will finally get a quantitative results out of it, where we will find out which option majority of the people are supporting.